On everyone. So the last few days, we've gotten a lot of updates in regards to a Laker Dejounte Murray type of trade with the Atlanta Hawks. So far, it looks like the framework of D'Angelo Russell, Jalen Hood-Schifino, first round pick, and other draft compensation would be in exchange for Dejounte Murray. Now, once we get to the actual trade, if we actually get to the actual trade, then my guess there may be other components, right? Maybe the Lakers get a Sadiq Bey, a Clint Capella, a Bogdan Bogdanovic, right? Maybe there are other movable pieces. But there was a report that the Atlanta Hawks are not really interested in D'Angelo Russell, that, nothing with him as a player, but they have concerns of his fit alongside Trae Young, and they don't want to take back any salary. They kind of want to just clear the books, be done with it, move off of Dejounte Murray, get whatever assets they can, then kind of rebuild and retool around Trae Young and Johnson. That's kind of the idea. That's kind of the goal. So if the Lakers need to find a third team, well, then who is that third team? What team would make sense for D'Angelo Russell without the Lakers having to give up assets to go and trade D'Angelo Russell, or a team wanting a big return like, hey, we're doing you a favor, right? You're getting Dejounte Murray. Well, we need some compensation. We need something for that, right? The Lakers would need to find a team that goes, hey, D'Angelo Russell would make sense with us. We'd be happy to take D'Angelo Russell. And one team that really comes to mind is the San Antonio Spurs, right? San Antonio desperately needs a point guard. They have no real playmaking. Victor Wembanyama is by far their best player. This dude is absolutely ridiculous and incredible. And yet, no one seems to want to get him the basketball on regular occurrences. It's crazy to me. Like, watch some of the Spurs games, and it's like Victor might not as well not even be out there because they don't really have a playmaker. They don't have that guy that's constantly looking for the big fella. It's constantly looking to get him the basketball. And now, look, the San Antonio Spurs have several options. They are tanking for the bottom, so they could go and just, hey, draft a guy, and there's your point guard of the future. They could go and potentially maybe sign somebody in free agency next year. They could maybe look to do some other trades. There's even talks about the Spurs potentially being interested in Dejounte Murray. Now, here's the thing, though. So the Spurs, yes, they could go and trade and give up a bunch of assets to go get Dejounte Murray, right? They have the expiring contracts, right? And they have the picks and stuff like that if they wanted to go and do that. They wanted to go and acquire Dejounte Murray. San Antonio really wants Murray. They could go get Dejounte Murray. The thing is like, if you're the Spurs, do you want to trade a bunch of assets and trade a bunch of things to go and get Dejounte Murray and have to give up a first or maybe several firsts to go get Murray when you could potentially do a 3-team deal, allow Dejounte Murray to go to the Lakers, and then you could essentially get D'Angelo Russell for free? Like, literally. Because Atlanta, what they would get is they would get the Lakers like they would get the first from the Lakers, right? They would get whatever draft compensation. All San Antonio would be doing is just matching expiring salaries, which San Antonio has, right? They have McDermott, they have several other players that they could ship out and just easily match salaries. They could even take on a little bit of salary if need be. So all they would do is basically get D'Lo for essentially free. Let's say worst case, they throw in like a second round or two. However you feel about D'Lo's worth at least 2 seconds. You could probably, in a real situation, maybe get a first for him in the right situation, the right environment, right? But he's been excellent this year. And he would make a ton of sense for San Antonio. Also, D'Angelo Russell is an excellent pick and roll point guard. He's also a guy that actively looks for the big fella, right? Look at what he does with Anthony Davis. One of the best plays in all of basketball is a D'Lo AD pick and roll. Imagine if you had Victor Wembanyama and what he's able to do. All the sets you could run. D'Lo could run the show, right? Now, obviously, you need to continue to build pieces, but San Antonio, they're a team that they're in a situation where, okay, if you go get D'Lo, you got your point guard now. And it's not like D'Lo's 35 or anything. Like, D'Lo's 27? So, he's young enough to where you could keep him while you're going through your rebuild process. But also, okay, this year, you're paying basically half of his contract. And then next year, if D'Lo opts into his deal, right, then you basically have him for one more year at $18.5 million, and then you can evaluate him for the full season. Come trade deadline, you could trade him if you need to, if it's not working out, or if you want to go younger, whatever, or you could just let him go, right? And you didn't really give up anything. If it works, well, then now you got your long-term answer at point guard, and you could address other positions and other needs, right? Like, to me, that would be a great approach for the San Antonio Spurs, because again, it's like, what are your options? You're going to go and draft a young guy that may or may not work, right? Which the lottery is always a gamble. Or you're going to go and try to find somebody on the trade market, and you're going to have to give up a bunch of assets to go make that happen. Or the other option is you sign somebody in free agency. But again, like, what free agents are available that make sense? Maybe you get like a Tyus Jones, right? Like, that could be nice. But is Tyus Jones better than D'Angelo Russell? I don't think so. I think D'Lo's the better player. So you're getting the better player, and you're getting him for essentially nothing. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, Pop would never work with the Lakers. So he was going to take on Russell Westbrook last season. Like, that was heavily reported that they were willing to take him on so that way they could just recoup assets. And you don't think that, like, Pop is going to do what's best for the organization. Yes, he hates the Lakers, but a good deal is still a good deal, right? And yes, you're helping them get Dejounte Murray, but the real question is, how much better does Dejounte Murray make the Lakers? Right? Like, again, I'm in the camp of like, look, if you trade for Dejounte Murray, you have to trade D'Lo regardless. You just do. I don't know if that pairing would work. I mean, it could. D'Lo could play off ball, but still, I just think you trade D'Lo to go get a better position of need. But I'm all for the Lakers trading Austin Reeves to go get Dejounte Murray. Right? Trade Reeves, go get Murray. Then you don't even have to do a third team. And then maybe you could work out a third team with the Spurs elsewhere, right? Maybe you get another piece or two if another team doesn't want D'Lo, right? Or maybe you could trade D'Lo directly to a team that does want him, right? I think that there are options there. But I just look at it as like, if you're San Antonio, you go get a point guard. You don't have to waste this year's draft on getting a point guard. You can go look for a guy that you actually like. Because what if they don't like any of the point guards? Like, what if there's a lot of overseas players, and San Antonio loves those overseas players. There's a ton of them in this year's draft that could make sense for San Antonio. So maybe they go and they look and try to get one of those guys. It's like, okay, well, we have D'Lo, we got Victor, we just need the other pieces. Also, D'Lo would bring you some veteranness. He'd give you a guy that has some experience, come playoffs, guy that has led a team to a playoff. Right? He's not some scrub or anything like that. And again, you're getting him for nothing. Like, San Antonio basically gets D'Lo for just being a part of the deal and matching expiring salaries, which they have. So it's nothing for San Antonio, right? You get a year and a half, at worst a half season of D'Lo and Victor. If D'Lo does opt out of his contract, then again, it's like, okay, well, that's fine. We're still in the same boat again. And then you go get Tyus Jones or whatever. But if D'Lo works, then maybe you work with him to get a new contract. Maybe you could sign him long term, right? D'Lo just wants a home. And he's just kind of gotten these like tough circumstances. Like, I see so many people that are like, well, D'Lo can't be that good because he's got traded a bunch of times, but completely failed to ignore all of the circumstances around it, right? Lakers traded him to the Nets because they drafted Lonzo Ball and because of what he did to Nick Young. They didn't want that in the locker room, right? Okay, he gets done. He goes to the Nets, becomes an all-star, leads that team to the playoffs, and then he gets traded for Kevin Durant. So that way the Nets could go and team up with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. It's not like D'Lo was traded just for fun. No, he went as part of the Kevin Durant deal, and so he goes to the Golden State Warriors. And the Warriors were never planning on keeping him. They just wanted to get something for Kevin Durant and make that work. So they got an all-star for Kevin Durant. The goal was to always trade D'Lo. So then D'Lo goes and gets traded in exchange for Andrew Wiggins to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota wanted to re-sign D'Lo. Minnesota had like a 90% win rate when D'Lo scored 17 or more points. Problem is that they were trying to develop the Anthony Edwards and stuff. So D'Lo was playing a lot of off ball with Minnesota too, right? So he ends up going and gets traded to the Lakers because the Minnesota Timberwolves were like, he's going to leave us this year. So we're gonna lose him for nothing. We might as well get something. At least we can get a guy in Mike Conley. And look, it's worked out, right? So it's not like D'Lo's just been traded because he's a bum, because he's a scrub. Like GMs, execs, people know he's good, right? So I just look at it as like, if you're San Antonio, you're getting a quality point guard that solves a lot of your needs. He's been very good defensively this year. He's not elite. He's not like all defensive. He's nothing like that. But he's been very good defensively this year. So you get a good quality defensive guy. You don't care about wins or losses right now, right? You're competing for draft picks. But D'Lo, you bring him in. It gives you time to evaluate him. You get a good look at him. The Lakers get their guy in Dejounte Murray, right? Everybody's happy. Atlanta doesn't have to take on any long-term salary. They get picks in the deal. And it's a win-win. They get off of Murray's contract, which frees up a bunch of space for them to go make other moves. Lakers get their guy that they believe in Dejounte Murray. The San Antonio Spurs get their point guard for now and potentially the future. And they get him for free, right? Because all the assets would be coming for the Lakers. So the Lakers are still, it's basically the exact same deal. It's just D'Lo's being rerouted to the Spurs, and the Hawks are getting a bunch of expiring deals and some contracts, right? So that is something that I could see, and I think makes a lot of sense for all parties involved, right? I think it's a win-win for everybody. Everybody gets what they want. Atlanta gets off of Murray, gets some assets in the deal, and clears up cap space. The San Antonio Spurs, they get their point guard for nothing. You know, it's basically a free agency signing almost, right? So they get their point guard for nothing. And then the Lakers, they get their guy in Dejounte Murray and then still have assets and pieces or whatever in Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura. Maybe you can work out a deal to ship out Gabe Vincent somewhere, or maybe you keep him as like, a bench guy for the playoffs, however you want to approach it. Point is, you get your guy in Dejounte Murray and then you figure out the rest, I think that's a fair opportunity for everybody. All parties involved get what they want. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you like this idea? Do you hate this idea? Do you think it's a viable option? Do you think no? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I would love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.